Guys, Corey Frederick here with Tyrant Wrestling. I'm at the new compound / Ranger Pride Wrestling facility in Johnstown, PA, and I'm joined by head coach Bill Bassett. I appreciate you taking time to meet with me, Bill, and I know we've known each other for a long time, just from the tournament circuit, really. And really, every time you bring your guys and you attend our tournaments, you know, I appreciate that because you bring a load of talent with you.
Yes.
So some of the things I'm going to probably talk to you a little bit about today is, one, I'm just curious myself and interested. And then two, I think there's a lot of people out there who would just love to know, how you got to where you're at today. So, briefly we'll touch on you as an athlete, but I know you were a football player. When did you start playing football?
So neither of my parents played sports. So we kind of just did whatever the school was doing. So we played baseball in baseball season and football in football season. And then my parents they'd spent a little bit of money, and we did karate for a while, and it got too expensive. And there was a flyer for wrestling, and my dad's like, "Hey, you guys want to wrestle?" And football coaches all talked about how it would make you a better football player. And Jack and my brother and I, football was our best sport. So it was something that we tried out, and we've been wrestling. We wrestled pretty much middle school and high school. So.
What positions did you play in football?
Linebacker. And then I was a running back in middle school, and then once I got to high school, I just focused on defense and played on really good teams.
Yeah.
So
what high school were you at?
Forest Hills.
Okay.
So we played in, we had a state championship team, district championship. We ranked high in the state, and it was good. I mean, it was Forest Hills back in that day was known as a football school.
Did you play in college?
I did not play in college. I met my wife, and honestly, I mean, that's one of the reasons I didn't. I was either going to go to college and try to play football, or I was going to go to the Army and do that. And I met my wife, Krista, and honestly, we're married today, and I wouldn't change anything for anything. So it worked out.
Did you go to college?
I did go to college.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, did you go to college right out of high school, or did you go back to college?
No, so I went to college right out of high school. I got a computer science degree, and it was.
Where'd you go?
So I went to St. Francis. I went to Mount Aloysius, and then I just recently got my master's degree. Well, not recently, about 5 years ago, I got my master's degree again at St. Francis.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Why did you go back to get your master's?
It just pays more, and eventually, what I might want to get into is becoming a principal. And once my boys graduate, now teaching is just it's my job, and someday maybe that principal will be my career and something that I pursue.
So were you guys high school sweethearts? Did she go to Forest Hills as well?
She did, yes.
Okay.
So that was kind of the. It all worked out. I wouldn't change anything for it. You look back and you're like, man, I wish I would have went and served in the Army and served in some type of a branch and did that and then still had the same life I have now. But honestly, anything could have happened. So I wouldn't change anything for it.
She's a nurse,
yes.
Right? Specializing in kind of like breast cancer or something.
Correct.
Now, she always been a nurse?
She's always been a nurse, yes. So she's about 20 years in. So she's got right out of high school. She went to nursing school, and we were helping each other kind of get through college. And she became a nurse, and she loves it. So now, this is her third nursing job. She was in a hospital, like most nurses start out in a hospital, and then she got a better job, and then she was in risk management for a while, and then she got this breast care navigator, and she absolutely loves it. So that's kind of not that I would ever leave anyway, but that's keeping me here 100% because she loves her job. And it doesn't make sense for,
So she has a good vacation plan too, because she's at all the tournaments.
She does. She does. She's well taken care of.
So you wrestled in middle school and high school, you graduate. How did you eventually get into coaching wrestling?
Yeah. So I actually was coaching football for my school, and my brother, he's 4 years behind me. So they needed somebody to come out. They didn't have anyone really to wrestle with them. So I went out and I started wrestling around with him, and then I just kind of stayed on staff, and I really loved it. It was something that I was still trying to stay in shape and still rolling around and stuff like that. So it was something that I just really, really, really enjoyed. And then my brother went to college, and when he went to college, then I started coaching with the Strip Matters, and I coached
at their club, Young Guns.
Well, I actually coached with John. I was his assistant coach at Central Cambria.
Okay.
And then there, Jody just started the club, so it was basically 1 year. It was the first year, and they were doing their flyers and stuff on the trifolds you get at Walmart and stuff. So it's amazing to see the transformation of his club and what he's done with that. So that was way before I even dreamt of having, boys, let alone wrestlers. And just working out with them and, going to school in the morning, working a little bit, and then coaching in the evening. So that was basically, what I did my entire way through. And then from there, I just continued to coach, and I coached back at Forest Hills for a while. And then I got my first head coaching position at a school that I was teaching at in Greater Johnstown. And I did that for 3 years. And then my boys started to get into wrestling pretty serious to where they were traveling a lot. So I had to kind of step away from the head coaching position for a while, and I've been full circle with them. So it's been an amazing journey just with the way things work out. And my boys love the sport. So it's great.
So when did you start your own wrestling club?
So I would say it's been about, I would say between 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
It was kind of just a supplement from, the school program. And then we would work out on opposite days of Young Guns. So the boys have always been Young Guns since day one.
Okay.
And
so they have a beginner's program, like when he was 4 and 6 years old?
Well, no. So Bo didn't start till he was 7. That's what people don't, Keegan started early, but Bo didn't start till he was 7. So, he was around the sport. He was our water boy and things of that nature. So he was around the sport. He was in the mat room a lot. He just didn't start wrestling until he was 7. I took him to his first couple of practices, and he didn't do so. He didn't do well. He cried, and then if he cried, our rule was we left. And, I pick him up, we carry him out, and then we try the next day. And I think he made it to 6 practices that year. And then, he told me, Dad, I really want to wrestle next year. So, we worked out a little bit and stuff. And then that's whenever my nephews, they come over, the Gibson boys and stuff like that. And we kind of started our little group. And then from there, it just kind of built. And then, we started with those 5 with Keegan and Bo, and then Melvin and Eric and Mason. And then it kind of built from there.
So, I think some people that aren't familiar really with any sport, or maybe didn't compete themselves or coach themselves, a lot of times they think the best athlete or the most accomplished athlete's going to, be the best coach. So, you don't have an NCAA championship.
No.
You didn't wrestle in college,
No.
but people consider you to be one of the top coaches in the country.
Oh.
So, and I'm saying that. So
Sure.
you're not bragging. I'm saying that. So what you've developed and what you've produced from your club and your high school, how have you, that journey, but how have you gotten to where you're at? Like, is it technique? Is it like, how have you developed all these great wrestlers?
I think it's funny you say that. We're just really blessed with really good kids, really good families. There's a lot of really good coaches. Our room's filled with, good dads that come in and help. And then, like I said, just being around the strip matters. We live in Western Pennsylvania. You can't get much better than this. It's arguably the top wrestling area in the world. Penn State's right up the road. You got so many, good opportunities for the kids. So I think it's a mixture of being very, very consistent, just staying after it, not worrying about what, I guess what the haters say. It's funny because, every year you get a couple more and more and more. And it's out of pure jealousy and stuff like that. So I think any tips for anyone starting out fresh is, the faster that you can get out of worrying about what people think, the better off you are,
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We preach a lot of character and being good kids. And ultimately that's always been the goal. The goal is always to use wrestling to make the best student athlete we could, or make the best, I always said to make the best dad or make the best husband we could, but now we have girls. So make the best mom or wife we could. So it's really cool that, how far this club has come and how far this group has come. And it's just really neat. It's neat to see them now. I teach at the same high school they go to. So I see them every day. They're in almost every one of my classes. I have a wrestler or two. So it makes my job and my life really easy, just having great people.
Yeah. Well, I do think you're being a little bit humble, and that's okay, because there's a lot of kids that I think we've seen that you think they have a ton of potential, but maybe they're not in the best room, or, whether it's their teammates or more so the coaching that they get. So obviously you guys are doing something right in the technique and the way you're running practices and, just all the things that you're doing to surround your guys. But, did you have a plan, or did you ever think about where you would be where you're at today when you first started, years ago?
No, I just knew I was going to be, I was going to go all in and be the best dad that I could be. My brother and I lost our dad when we were younger. And it was one of those things where my boys were born. So it was one of those things where, we didn't get a lot of time with him, so I said, I'm going all in on my sons. And that's what I did. And then, along the way, I went all in on all the kids that I coached. So it's one of those things where, you hear it all the time and people say it, and, people, put it on their shirts, not be outworked and stuff. But truly, that's our philosophy and that's our mindset is I'm going to be the absolute best dad I can be. I'm going to be the best coach to the wrestlers that I can be. And that's my mindset. Every day I'm going to get up and I'm going to try to do the best I can for my
Well, I can tell you, you know, from one father to another and one coach to another and all those things, but I've never seen you without your wife or your kids.
No,
And without really the whole wrestling team. I mean, you guys seem extremely family oriented. And that kind of goes back to, you know, as tough as wrestlers they are, I've never seen any of them be disrespectful. You know, they're all great kids. So, I mean, is that just a culture? Is it go without talking to it, or is it something that you guys focus on and talk about? Like, how do you breed that level of success where you just have, we interviewed 8 of your wrestlers today.
Yes.
And they were all extremely respectful, well-spoken, good communication, but just very good kids. So how do you teach that type of character?
I just think like our standards really high at our club. You know, we just don't, you know, that's the thing. Like we'll help anybody if they come through the door, but at the end of the day, they know the standard's the standard. Like we're going to keep it that way. Like we don't put up with, you know, misbehave, you know, wrestlers or bad grades or vaping or anything like that. And, you know, we just preach all the time that family's everything. I mean, without family, really nothing matters. You know what I mean? You could be the most accomplished wrestler in the world without grades. It doesn't matter, you know? And that's why, like, at the end of the day, like, we go on vacation together. We do everything together as a group. Like, you know, we have family trips, and probably this weekend, everybody will get together at a picnic. I mean, that's just what our group has done since day one. And again, a lot of clubs try to emulate that. And hey, you know, I wish them the best because it's been nothing but a blessing for us. But I can honestly tell you, like, over the years, like, it's just keeps building and building and building. Like
that's one of the things I miss the most about coaching is all those relationships that I've developed. And you know, I meet a lot of people at tournaments, and it's cool. I feel like you guys are family, but it's not that same level of relationship when you're training and traveling with the families over and over and over. So how many years have you been at McCort?
So this is my 3rd year at Bishop McCort.
All right, so you guys started a girls program. Tell us how that came about.
Yeah, so girls wrestling was really blowing up, and it was something I saw it growing, and I knew that it was cutting edge for our area because no one in our area had a girls program. So I went in, I talked to the school, I talked to the principal, and I told him, I said, this would be a good idea. You know, I think a lot of kids nowadays have sisters that wrestle and things like that. And it was cool because, you know, we started our program and we only had a few girls, and they were like Jack's Forrest sister, never wrestled a day in her life. And
is that why she came out? Because you guys added the program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
she started as a junior.
So she started as a junior. Yeah. So she never wrestled, but she was around it. So she picked it up extremely fast, and she actually had a really good year. And then a couple other sisters, and they were all pretty good. You know, they were all pretty good. So it was something that I just think, like, you know, every school should have a girls program. Every girl should get an opportunity now. It's a real sport, and it's fun. It's fun.
Was it a big deal for a Catholic school to have a girls wrestling team, or was that not an issue?
No, it wasn't an issue. It was more of, you know, the girls wrestle the girls and boys wrestle the boys. You know, we practice separately and all that stuff. But no, it wasn't. I mean, their issue is more with, you know, the way that these, you know, some of the public schools, you know, try to use our rule against us. And
are you the one that has a rule where they can't wrestle? Your boys can't wrestle a girl from another team?
That was the rule.
Okay.
Yeah. But recently, like, it happened out east, and then that kind of took care of our issue. Because out east, that, you know, that was a thing where, you know, they were actually doing it just to try to get dual meet wins. And then all the dioceses kind of got together and made a rule where that doesn't come in play anymore. So, you know, if a girl runs out now, I mean, you know, especially with us having a girls program and stuff, we'll offer to wrestle the girl, but if not, then they're going to wrestle the boy.
So before you guys added the girls program, there was no girls allowed on the boys team then?
Correct, yes.
And then now that you have it, do you have completely different practice times, or they're just segregated in the room?
No, different times.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, so we keep them separate. And, you know, and then they obviously still wrestle together in club and stuff like that, but off, you know, outside of the school practices.
Yeah. So whether it's Keegan and Bo or it's McCourt's program, but what's the future here? Like, what are some of the goals you have, or where do you see you guys going? You know, your own kids or your team?
Sure. I mean, the goals are always the same. Like I said, you know, I said earlier, it's just make the best student athlete we can. You know, get them in the best schools that we can. You know, whether it's Ivy League or Big Ten or whoever it might be. You know, there's a lot of amazing schools out there, and not every school offers this. You know, maybe the degree that certain kids want. So, you know, my goal as a coach, my goal as a dad is to set these guys up as best as I can, you know, and someday, you know, hopefully they look back on their time with me. And, you know, I taught them a few things just about being a great person.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I could go on forever and ever. I mean, I know you, but I don't know you that well, but we'll leave some things a secret here and, you know, for another time. But like I said, I've really enjoyed getting to know you as much as we have. I appreciate you guys coming to our tournaments. I know you said your club, your team is going to be coming to our Folk Style National Tournament in September. Hopefully we get you back for Columbus Day Duels in October as well.
Yeah, so preseason's always a bit. It's to me, if you're a wrestler, preseason / everyone else's football season is, that's a time they really get a lot of matches in. Our group last year got a lot of matches in, and I felt like going into Super 32 and then even into like Ironman and stuff, they were ready to go. So we're gonna do the same thing. So yeah, definitely have that penciled in, and my group's pretty excited to come out there, and it's in Pennsylvania. So we have to definitely take advantage of all the opportunities we can. So.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Bill.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.